Everyone deserves a carefree and safe childhood, but not every child gets one.
In foster care, there is a crisis of not enough families, and there's kids all over the country that need a place to go.
In Ohio alone, over 16,000 children are currently in the foster care system.
There was a need in Columbus. There's a need in Cleveland. There's a need in the Toledo area. So there is a need.
In Montgomery County, as many as 600 children are in the system at any given time.
We receive emails, probably a minimum of 8 to 10, just from one particular county every day. So that's probably an average of 10 to 15 kids that need a placement a day.
And yet, there are only 180 licensed foster caregivers in the Dayton area.
Well, I think right now there's not enough homes for these kids to go into.
We need families. We need people who are able to take these young people.
The goal of foster care is to ensure the safety, permanency, and well-being of children. To do this, the states provide temporary services and solutions for children in unsafe environments.
But, the ultimate goal is for parents to get it together in whatever that looks like for their situation and hopefully get the kids back with them at some point.
There will always be situations where the parents are not ever going to be ready to parent. They're not ever going to be a safe placement for those kids.
The system was put in place to help families, but it doesn't come without setbacks.
The sad reality is a lot of our kids have moved around in the foster care system, and then when they reach the age of independent living, they've kind of aged out on their own.
These children are faced with moments of adversity where everything they once knew changes.
You just don't know what's going to trigger them. You don't always know their full story.
It's really traumatizing to remove kids from their whole life.
The system it's not perfect, it's flawed, but the goal is not to go take people's kids, it's to take kids from unsafe environments.
Throughout history, societies have sought ways to provide care for children in need. Over time, social agencies and state governments took on that responsibility, creating the system we see today. But the reasons a child enters the system are rarely simple.
Children can enter foster care for several reasons. There's so many reasons.
Circumstances vary state by state, but in Ohio, neglect, abuse, drug addiction, incarceration, and illness are the top 5 reasons children enter the foster care system. Behind closed doors, many children may experience such conditions, but sometimes someone is able to notice the signs and step in.
A lot of times these kids will come in with gaps in their learning, gaps in their education, because they have moved around and they might have been in multiple schools.
The decision to remove a child is never taken lightly. It is a last resort, made only when there is no other safe option. When a home is deemed unsuitable for a child, the preferred next step is kinship care. This is when custody is given to a close relative, such as a grandparent, aunt, or uncle.
The goal is always to reunify with the family, the parents, whoever was, their bio family, or someone that's kin, someone close in family.
By placing a child with a family member, Kinship care can help maintain family connections as well as minimize the trauma of separation.
It's just the trauma. It's the trauma. Foster children have been through trauma.
For a child, being removed from home is a challenge. The process is sudden, often unexpected, and life-changing.
I have one particular child who is not aware that they will not be going back home. That is just not an option.
Every case differs based on the circumstances. Some removals happen quickly, some in the middle of the night, while others take months of legal intervention.
Foster kids are removed from their homes for sometimes nothing that they've ever done. They are the victims in the choices that their parents have made.
Foster care is overseen by the state and administered locally by child welfare agencies. Together, they work to ensure the child's safety. There are 3 different types of agencies in Ohio: the Public Children's Services Agency, Private Child Placing Agency, and Private Non-Custodial Agency.
With so many children needing to be in foster care, private agencies fall in where basically being hired by a county agency to do the job that they would do.
With the abundance of foster children in the county, it's important to keep in mind that agencies and policies alone don't raise a child.
With a public children's service agency, the worker needs to see the children in the home at least once a month. When they hire a private agency to do that, to take care of those kids are being seen more often.
It takes more than an open home to become a foster parent. The process is thorough, ensuring children are placed with families ready to meet their needs.
The licensing process, which I was perhaps the most worried about, I didn't want it to be too arduous, but at the same time, I didn't want it to be too easy because you don't want just anybody being a foster parent.
You have to have patience. You have to have love. You have to have an open mind to understand what the kids are going through.
Foster parents must go through extensive training to understand how to support the trauma these children face.
I think really understanding that this kiddo is coming into your home with layers upon layers of things that you might not ever unpeel, and figuring out how to work with that child to the best of your ability.
Being pulled away from your family, your mom or your dad. So these kids are experiencing that. So I just want to give them that, I'm here. You need anything, I'm here.
Being lonely and nobody wanting me, it ate at me. And for months being there, and that was a very painful time.
For many, the path ahead is uncertain. Some will reunite with family, others may find new homes, but some remain in the system until adulthood. Out of the 600 children in Montgomery County's foster care system, about 100 await to be adopted.
They're often unsure if they'll go back home, if this is forever.
Me and my brother was just minding our business. He was watching me do a Lego game. Then I hid behind the chair seeing people come up to our front door.
Adjusting to new environments is challenging for anyone. For foster youth, constantly moving means adapting to new homes, relationships, and routines, which can affect their sense of identity and belonging.
Kind of takes most of your childhood away, going back and forth, moving around and things like that.
My mom let us go for visitation with my dad, and she hit the road and became a trucker. She just took off, and she had abandoned us with our dad.
These are just a few of the hundreds of experiences within Montgomery County. Thousands of stories like these have not yet been heard.
One of our kids shared that he didn't ever get enough food at night. They got one scoop of whatever was for dinner, and that was it.
But with these kids coming into your house, you have to build trust, number one, and show them that they're in a safe place.
The second most important need for any individual is safety and security. As a child, especially in the foster care system, a stable environment is crucial for their well-being and development.
He got locked out of the house on purpose. They didn't want him in the house anymore, so they left him outside and he slept outside. Who does that?
I remember getting in the shower and she was like, turn the water off. You only could use it for 5 seconds.
My dad was gonna use drugs, gonna use up all the money for his selfish interest.
While seeking love and connection, it's challenging for foster youth not to feel used in some manner.
I knew that they were using drugs and I blamed myself for them using drugs. I was like, I wasn't a good enough kid.
Children in the system essentially become a number. No child should ever have to feel like a product.
There's a child characteristics checklist that foster parents go through, and it has many behaviors on there if they're willing to accept them.
For potential foster parents, the selection process is essential to understand. It allows them to prepare and provide the best care for foster youth.
There was probably about anywhere between 127 to maybe 140 questions.
Me talking to them like, okay, how do you think your neighbors will respond to a child that doesn't look like most of the kids in your neighborhood?
The idea of being chosen is not the only thing that can harm foster youth psychologically. In some cases, individuals foster not out of love, but for financial benefits.
You're treated differently because you're not their actual like kids. You're just like there for like money or something.
I'm just getting shuffled. Nobody cares. Nobody really wants me. There's a dollar amount on my head every day.
The matching process helps ensure the best possible care, but preferences around race, gender, disability, and behavioral issues can result in a child never finding a forever family.
The children I've experienced having multiple placements, they develop RAD, which is reactive attachment disorder.
Sometimes you'll have kids that will do stuff like that to see how far they can go with you, to see if you're going to give up on them.
Caseworkers use the CAN score to help evaluate these needs. This is a tool that measures the complexity of a child's situation. The higher the number, the more support they require.
We had a little girl who was 5, who was a 7. I would get a call probably 2 to 3, sometimes 4 or 5 calls a week from her school to come pick her up early.
It can be difficult for foster youth to express their true emotions. Unprocessed trauma can show up in destructive ways.
I think a lot of our children have a lot of behaviors, and it depends on the environment.
Although these kinds of behaviors can be alarming, some children subconsciously believe this is the only way they will get someone's attention.
There had always been like the little thing part that was just like, you're not staying here, you know that, right?
Like some teenagers like to act out because they don't have anything or anybody to talk to.
But we're embarrassed of the label. You're just a foster kid. You're just a guest in this house. This isn't your home.
Unfortunately, behaviors like these prevent some foster parents from providing proper care, leading to frequent relocations that increase the child's chances of entering independent living. For every child who enters the system, reunification is the primary goal. The hope is that with time and support, biological families can rebuild a safe and stable home.
Because any child that comes into foster care, the goal is that this is temporary and that the parents can work a case plan to reunify with their children.
One of the things that we strive for here is structure, also with normalcy, realizing that these children are going to be children.
According to the AFCAR's report, reunification is the most common way children transition out of foster care.
Some biological families do the necessary steps to get that youth back, but others do the bare minimum and still get that youth back.
Unfortunately, the bare minimum is sometimes not enough to ensure a child's safe return home. In one case of neglect, a 1-month-old baby entered the system due to malnourishment. He recovered in foster care, but after being reunited with his biological family, things took a turn for the worse.
He was a completely healthy baby, progressing so much in the time that he was with us. Only like 3 days being home, shows up and is dead at Dane Children's. That tells me something happened. It was wrong.
There's a lot of unknowns from a worker perspective, and whether it's an age out or they were reunified with their parents, sometimes you don't know what's going on with them.
When reunification isn't possible, adoption becomes the next hope, a chance for a child to find a safe and loving home.
Because we went into it just planning to foster. We didn't necessarily go into it expecting to adopt.
Honestly, it felt good meeting them. I feel like I don't know what I would do if we weren't with them.
My kids that I adopted, they had never been out of Ohio, the state of Ohio, never been on the airplane, and just to see that expression and that happiness in them, it makes my heart happy.
Adoption gives foster youth a new foundation, one built on love, stability, and the opportunity to just be a kid again. Although, not every child is guaranteed to leave the system with a family waiting to welcome them.
Aging out is the hardest. It's like, it's all on you. Like 18 years old, I just graduated high school, and now it's like, all right, I need an apartment so I'm not homeless.
I'm not really sure if I'm gonna be able to afford rent on my own. I feel like right now I'm in the fear of homelessness, but we're not gonna talk about that.
One of the biggest challenges aged out foster youth face is building a stable life without a safety net. Without the proper guidance, foster youth face a significantly higher risk of homelessness, incarceration, and other challenges. One key program that helps aged out foster teens is Bridges, a statewide program that supports their transition into adulthood.
Like, I have a very good connection with my Bridges worker. Like, I can probably call him right now and be like, hey, I need to vent to you, and he'll be like, yeah, what's up?
Working with kids in independent living is teaching them everything from heating up a can of SpaghettiOs to graduating college.
Foster youth are not the only ones leaving the system. The emotional toll of foster care can also push caseworkers and foster parents to step away.
We had already been thinking about taking a break. That child ended up going to a different home. It was devastating in its own right because we almost felt like we failed the child.
Because sometimes as a worker, you feel like a failure at times, or like this is gonna work, but it didn't. So it affects a lot of people. Sorry.
Being labeled a foster kid carries a lot of weight. Some see them as broken, others see a broken system. In reality, behind this label is a child, resilient, complex, and deserving of love. In Ohio, overcrowded foster homes have been a challenge for years. It's a system that is stretched thin, leaving children, families, and caseworkers without the resources they truly need.
What happened with this family 6 months, a year, 2 years ago that got them to this situation? And what were the other systems that maybe had an opportunity to intervene and didn't?
Without the system, these kids would still not know what stability, love, faith, care, normalcy, some of that can be.
You're not gonna solve the problem by giving every person 100 kids to look after, because they're constantly making sure that these kids are going to the right home.
In order to prioritize a successful future for our children, we need more than just awareness. We need effort and action.
I wish that choices could be made for that child a little sooner and not kind of drag them through that.
Just let them know so that it don't inflict that much trauma onto the kids who are having this to happen to them.
At the end of the day, it's about the kids, providing for them, showing them love, helping them overcome what they're going through.
It's not just like providing a home, it's providing hope.
Every day, children in foster care defy expectations that are placed on them. Their past does not define their purpose, and their journey is just beginning.
You must continue to press on. You must continue to fight. You must continue to understand that this is just a season in your life that you will overcome.
It can happen, just keep hoping and might be with a nice family.
It does get better. It may not seem like it, but it does.
We are the way we are because of our past, but don't let that define our future.
And just be encouraged. It might look hard, it might look rough, but be encouraged, and it'll happen for you. There is a family out there for everyone.